right, so outdoors business names. How do you name an outdoors business? First thing, buy a book called Pop by Sam Horn. Pop means purposeful, original, and pithy. All of these methods and techniques for how to name something. For instance, think about Dunkin' Donuts, Weight Watchers, Krispy Kreme, called alliteration, right? You can use that in your marketing. It's the classic thing. Black Warrior Lures, the Sipsy Claw Crawl. That's another one, the Claw Crawl. Crawfish found in the Sipsy Swamp, you know. And she has this thing where you go through a W-9 form, just like your taxes or whatever. You can put in all these things, and then she has all these little techniques and methods for how to come up with a name for something. Doesn't matter if it's a business, a company, a product, a slogan, a tagline. Second thing is, when it comes to outdoors businesses, very common naming convention comes from naming it after the places that was developed on. I'm going to use an example, although I'm not exactly sure. You know, Temple Fork Outfitters? Well, although I don't know this for sure, Temple Fork, the fork of the river they're talking about, right? What do you get, you know, like for me, Black Warrior Lures, the Black Warrior River, and it's just named after that. There's a lot of history behind the Black Warrior River. Tuscaloosa, where I live, means Black Warrior, Chief Tuscaloosa of the tribe here. So there's some history here. And so you're tapping into that history. Think about a lot of your football teams and sporting teams are named after a local geographical phenomenon or something that area is known for, like Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, steel, making steel, you know. Think about the old Houston Oilers, you know, things like that. Compare that to something like the Tennessee Titans. That's just alliteration. Just Tennessee Titans doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the area, but I see another one, you know, New Orleans Saints. Well, you think that's a Catholic sort of oriented region of the country, and so, you know, Atlanta Braves or Florida State Seminoles or things like that. So you can name it after things like that, and that's Black Warrior Lures is named after the Black Warrior River, which is named after Chief Tuscaloosa, the city of Tuscaloosa, that kind of thing. You know, if I were living on the Mulberry Fork, the name of what I'm going to do would very likely be Mulberry Fork Lures or something. It would probably, or Locust Fork Lures or something. Those are the two big forks that converge to make that Black Warrior River. If I were on the Alabama River, it'd probably likely be Alabama River Lures or Alabama River Tackle or something like that. Let's say you're a hunter or something and you're living near the Okefenokee Swamp or something, and well, you could do Okefenokee Outfitters or something or whatever. The geography where it is made is good. And then as far as the individual products, I a lot of times rely on the Sam Horn stuff. You know, like one of the things I always had trouble with was my slip corks. I just call them channel catfish floats. It's just simple, just basic, nothing fancy about it, but it was so restrictive because people think that it only can be used for channel catfish. The float doesn't know what it's catching. It's just telegraphing what's going on with the hook and stuff under the water. So I had to be in the process, well, how do I better name it, right? I just call them slip corks, primarily because that's what people are typing in terms of keyword research. You know, keyword research could be a good way to start thinking about a business, outdoors business name. Just looking at what people are actually typing in on YouTube and Google Trends, and that's a skill that you need to learn too, is just search engine optimization. I wouldn't necessarily start there, but I do think that becomes to play a role in terms of having your stuff found, because now that I've been calling them slip corks, people are being able to, they're finding it a little bit easier. And so just Black Warrior Lures slip corks, just very simple. Sometime, like the Amp Fly, I named that after 3 people. The Amp Fly, I named that after the 3 people who are involved. The actual named it after the people involved in making it. AMP stands for AMP, that stands for April, Mom, and Phil. I have a lady friend named April who raises a bunch of chickens, and she gave me some feathers once, and she was nice enough to do that for me, and I was very grateful and thankful for that. And my mom raises chickens, and mom always brings me some eggs when she shows up, and you know, so I eat lots of fish and lots of eggs. Fish and eggs, man. And so between April's feathers and Mom's feathers, there was an old college professor named Phil Bishop who had some bucktail, and he gave me some bucktail. And I make my flies out of that now. The Amp Fly that you've seen me sell, you know, guess what? It's the ant fly. It's named after those three people. The simpler spider, that's alliteration, simpler spider. It's practical, it's purposeful, all right? Because it's a simpler spider. What's purposeful about it? It's simple, but simpler than a lot of other complicated spider designs that are fly tying designs. All it uses is the hair and the thread, right? Simpler spider. Alliteration helps you remember it. So that's original, and it's pithy, it's short. So simpler spider. Bass crack, that's just a sort of a play on the Mickey Finn, which was, for those of you who don't know, the Mickey Finn is a drug-laced drink. Now look, I want my channel to be family friendly, but the Mickey Finn has an interesting history. A fly that was may have been originally called the bass assassin. It's been the most successful bass fly I've ever tied. The Mickey Finn, that red, yellow coloration on it. Guess someone said, hey man, at some point this thing it's like a Mickey Finn, which is a drug-laced drink. It's like you put, I don't know, heroin in your whiskey or something. I don't know. I don't, Again, I'm not promoting drug paraphernalia at all, but people say it's so incredibly, that's where I get that bass crack. Well, that's sort of would be a modern equivalent of what the people who invented that fly would have said like 100 years ago, whenever it was invented. That's where that comes from. I just take a fly or something that is a classic design like the Mickey Finn and make a modern version of it and give it a modern context. Instead, call it bass crack as opposed to Mickey Finn. It means the same thing, it's just two different generations spread over, like, I don't know, whatever is 100 years. That's another good thing. If you're thinking about getting into the outdoors industry and you have a passion for the outdoors and you want to name it and you're not sure what to do with, I would buy that Sam Horn book. You can get that on Amazon. You can use my link below to get that, and that way I can make a little money off of the commission or whatever, and naming your outdoors business.